The Head Coach Isaac Collins Show. Here's Dan Flickinger and Seton Hill Head Coach Isaac Collins.
It is Griffin's Game Day as we continue live. Week 5 of the college football season. We have our Griffin Player Spotlight coming up with quarterback Christian Strong, but right now it is time for the Coach Isaac Collins Show, and it's brought to you by our friends at Dino's Sports Lounge in Greensburg and Latrobe. Wow, Coach. Can you put into words how good it felt to finally get that signature win that you guys have been talking about since you got here? You were so close against Westchester 2 weeks ago, and you finally got the signature win. Before we even go into the X's and O's, just talk about how good it felt and how big it was for the program.
Well, I mean, I'll just start with just the emotions after the games. I mean, the number of young men that were in tears on the field, that were in tears in the locker room, the embraces that were going on throughout really kind of said it all. And I was so happy for our players, happy for our university, happy for our program, just because our kids had been working so hard. And to get to that point, and, you know, it was a little dicey at the end there, but, you know, to get to that point and for them to finally finish it and kind of taste, you know, what it's like to, you know, to win a big game against a really good team, you know, was just amazing.
And I know Jimmy asked you this question after the game, but talk about the crowd. I mean, the best crowd that I've probably seen as part of the Seton Hill football game. Do you think the players, and it can really be a special place because of how close the crowd is to the field. When you guys collect these W's, I'm sure the guys have to feed off that energy.
Oh, absolutely. Especially I had made the comment about when they were down at the locker room end down by the concession stand, like the noise level on the field was gotten so much higher because that was kind of where our student section was. Mm-hmm. It definitely fed into our players, and you can see their emotions when they're running off the field, getting a couple really big stops down there and holding them to a field goal. And obviously the missed field goal at the end that, you know, might have been slightly deflected by one of our guys kind of set the tone. So there's no doubt it really did feel like a college football game. I think our kids really enjoyed it. They fed off of it, and hopefully we can continue to build on that.
And I'm sure those are the type of games when the late former President Joanne Boyle and Athletic Director Chris Snyder, those were the games that they had envisioned Seton Hill would be in with the close rivalries against Slippery Rock, IUP. Now that you guys are starting to turn the corner and win some of these games, now the rivalries start existing. We heard the crowds kind of yelling at each other a little bit, all in good fun, but just the great atmosphere with now hopefully these rivalries coming together with the IUPs and Cals and Slippery Rock.
Yeah, I think when you just talk about Western PA football, the number of great football teams that are within a couple hours of each other makes it exciting. I think it also raises the bar. I think more and more teams that you'll find it tougher and tougher to play it off it. I think that's going to bring their crowd out and say, hey, we're going to need the support. But there's no doubt. I mean, our hope is that we can continue to move in the right direction, do the things that we've been doing, build a program that one day is going to hopefully get the city excited about coming out and packing that stadium.
Well, let's talk about last week. A few things happened. So there's just a few things to digest from last Saturday's victory. Thrilling one over Slippery Rock once again, 41-38. We look back in the first quarter, Slippery Rock scores. 6 plays later, a Christian Strong pass to Jarvis McClam. You guys answer back. Slippery Rock scores again. You guys answer back with a long touchdown pass of 75 yards from Strong to Ardell Brown. You answered quickly like you did against Slippery Rock the week before. That was in the second half. This time, it was in the first half, Coach. Can you kind of talk about those quick drives and those quick scores to answer, to not fall behind early, and, of course, the play, once again, of Ardell?
Well, we knew going into it that, they were a very explosive offense. Heck, they had scored 75 the week before, so I jokingly told Coach Eager he's going to have to hit a couple threes, and we're going to have to score about 82 to make sure that we were good. But, no, we knew going in that we were going to have to be able to, until our defense got their bearings and got their feet underneath them, we're going to have to stay in it. And I think one of the things that happened the previous 2 years is that we were unable to do that. We were unable to establish anything. We were unable to get anything easy, and you never like to say the long pass is easy because there's some skill involved with you got to throw it and you got to catch it. But getting those quick scores made a big difference in terms of our confidence with our offense, and I think with our defense in terms of understanding that, if they score, if they kick a field goal, we have the ability to come back and answer. So it was definitely very exciting excited about that, and we saw some glimpses of it, 2 weeks ago against Westchester. So certainly from our perspective, it was good to see them to be able to keep that going.
It's 14-14 after the first quarter. You go into the second quarter, the offense keeps its foot on the gas pedal, Coach. 2 more touchdown passes from Strong to Larry Joshua for 21 yards and also to Eric Brown for 30 yards, and you guys were up 28-14. I'm sure it had to make you feel good to see the offense really keep their foot on the gas pedal at that point.
Well, we definitely felt we needed to because we knew that their offense was explosive and they were going to have the ability to, just like us, to get quick scores or to move the ball pretty quickly down the field. And at that point, we'd kind of been battling 20s to 20s with them, and we were fortunate enough to keep them out of the end zone, but we knew that it was only a matter of time before that explosive offense would hit pay dirt.
Yeah, Slippery Rock got a couple of big plays against you, a 58-yard touchdown pass right after you guys had taken a 28-14 lead. And after Jeremy Dixon blocked a field goal, a 46-yard run on 4th and 1, which I'm sure was tough to take. And it was 28-28, just under 3 minutes left in the second quarter. A couple of big plays against the defense.
Yeah, and they were all things that we think were fixable things, and we talked about it at halftime that we really a misfit on the run, poor leverage by a corner on the long pass, just little things that we keep telling them that these are the things that if you want to be a great team, you have to eliminate in big games, and we didn't get it done on those 2 plays.
It's 28-28 at halftime. Seton Hill goes 3 and out to start the second half. Slippery Rock, though, drives down to the 1-yard line. And this may have been, it's certainly one of the biggest plays of the game. Slippery Rock has a first down and goal at the 1. They had just scored twice to tie up the game. Seemed like they were going to really tilt the game in their favor at that point, even though you guys only had been down by 7. But a huge play for you guys. Again, first down and goal at the 1. Keyshawn Pettit-Frieri comes through and forces a fumble. Gonzalez recovers it, scoops it up, and you guys avoid a touchdown for Slippery Rock. Just a huge play in the game. How big was it?
It was really big because any time that you're turned away, and we talk to our guys a lot about killing drives, and when you get to the 1-yard line, for most programs that's kind of a gimme, and I'm sure that their kids and their coaching staff felt like, okay, we're going to punch this in and take the lead, and to have that turn that quickly, emotionally for their players, it'd be the same for us. It's hard to come back from, so that it would definitely swung the momentum back in our end, and the only thing that was negative on the play is I had to yell at a couple guys coming off the field, because if they peel back and block the quarterback, we possibly score 7, which even makes it even a bigger play for us.
Something to learn on film with something like, because it doesn't happen a lot. I know you guys go through it in practice, those types of things. As a matter of fact, I remember when I was in camp, I believe there was a fumble, and I was behind the offense filming, and you said, scoop and score, and I just ran to the sideline as fast as possible, and I think Tim Johnson almost took me out, or even though he wasn't even practicing, he almost took me out on the sideline. But something that you guys, I'm sure go over, and something that I'm sure can be a learning tool on film. Right?
No, it really was, and it was good. We had a little fun with it. Gonzo was yelling at those guys too, because I could have had my first career touchdown. Right. So it was good. But I think they definitely understand that when you get into big games against great competition, those could be turning points in the game that could be the difference.
Slippery Rock does get a field goal eventually, and it's 31-28, almost midway through the third quarter. And then on a 2nd down and 8, Christian lays one up perfectly to Larry Joshua for 55 yards, and Stout finishes the drive, Brandon Stout, with an 8-yard run and then a 1-yard touchdown run to give you guys the lead again, Coach, at 35-31. What a throw by Christian, lays one into Larry to set it up. And then I know that running game is still not where you want it to be, but Brandon hits an 8-yard run, then a 1-yard run. You guys are up 35-31.
Well, we lean on the running game anytime we can, and I think when you get down in the red zone, those windows get a little bit smaller, so if you don't have the ability to run it in, it's going to make it very, very difficult. So I was very pleased with the fact that we were able to get those 2 rushing touchdowns.
Next possession for Slippery Rock, Robert Brown playing deep safety, jumps in front of a pass. Slippery Rock's quarterback, Dante Nania, never saw him, intercepts it, and it results in a field goal by Jesser Bolnamore, and it's 38-31 with 3:57 left in the third quarter. Robert Brown really played strong, didn't he? Had that interception, also had a huge pass breakup in the last series of the game. Talk about how he is progressing now, moving to safety this year.
Yeah, anytime that you move a corner to safety, just their coverage skills are at a different level, and it allows you to be able to do some things that you can't do with your typical safety. And him being a former corner, being used to being in space, and then obviously being a tremendous athlete really kind of sets the table for our defense on the back end and helps our defensive coordinator to be able to kind of scheme up some things because we can use him in a bunch of different ways. So that was a big play.
Slippery Rock misses a field goal. It's 38-31 Seton Hill heading into the fourth quarter. Baltimore starts out the scoring with a 22-yard field goal on a 4th and 1 at the 5-yard line of Slippery Rock, obviously, just under 3 minutes into the fourth quarter. At that point, obviously, a field goal puts you up by 2 scores. It was a 4th down and 1. Was there any thought of even going for it there, or were you just saying to yourself, let's go up by 2 scores?
We really were looking at more of the momentum thing, because our feeling was, hey, let's get the points on the board. Let's not have this drive end with nothing, have nothing to show for it. Plus, we want to continue to put the pressure on their offense to have to find a way to score touchdowns as opposed to kick field goals.
We look back, Slippery Rock's ensuing drive stalls. So once again, Seton Hill leads at 41 to 31 at that point after the touchdown. Seton Hill drives down to the Rock 18-yard line with a chance to put the game away at that point with a touchdown. But you guys have to settle for a field goal attempt. Jesser, who I want to ask you about him too. He's been really good this year, but he does miss a field goal at that point. You don't get any points on that drive, so you're still leading by 10, but the offensive drive also took over 5 minutes off the clock. So if you're looking for a positive out of that, Coach, at least you're able to get some first downs. And we talked about on the broadcast that you're able to take at least time off the clock there, even though you didn't get any points.
Well, when we started the drive, we talked about we got to chew some clock for a couple reasons. One is that we know that their offense was quick strike, but also defensively, we wanted to give ourselves some time to make adjustments and make sure, because I told the defensive guys, hey, you're going to get another crack at this. So they wanted to make some adjustments on the side. So I thought our offensive guys did a really good job of milking the clock and moving the ball down. Yes, we definitely want to come away with points because that very well could have put the game away. But as I jokingly tell our fans, our players didn't want anyone to leave the stadium, so they wanted to find a way to keep it as close to the final minute.
You chewed up 5 minutes and 30 seconds off the clock with that drive. And talk about Jesser this year. He really seems a lot more confident than what I've seen him. I know he missed 1 field goal, but he also got 2 against Slippery Rock, and he's been really good in his extra point.
Yeah, he's done a great job in the offseason. He had a tremendous winter. I thought from a leadership standpoint, he's really grown, and I think that's helped his confidence. Our players, he was another guy that received a ton of votes when we were voting for captain. So I think all those things tie into that, and then also he's a senior. And our expectations when you get to your senior year is that you should have confidence. You put your time in, so you should definitely look to have a great year, and so far he's doing a pretty good job for us.
Griffins lead by 10, took time off the clock. Slippery Rock, though, does get the ball back and scores. It's 41-38 with 4:15 left. On the ensuing drive, Seton Hill and Christian Strong throws an interception. Slippery Rock has the football back with 3 minutes left. They had good field position, Coach. They move to your 6-yard line. It's first down and goal from the 6. They have plenty of time to put the ball in the end zone, take the lead. But what a stand. What a stand by the defense. First pass goes off the fingertips. I know Phil got there late, but he might have disrupted the pass. Nania gets pushed out of bounds on 2nd down by, I believe, Afalatovich and Walton.
Yep.
And then 3rd down, Robert Brown makes a heck of a play. And then, of course, the missed field goal. But can you kind of take us through the whole stand by the defense there?
Well, we each week in practice, we try to create situations for our guys. And goal line is one of them. We put the ball on the 4-yard line, and, we cut it loose. And the quarterback's live, and we go at it just because we're trying to create that pressure situation. And the winner gets to brag, the loser has to run. So it's not the same stakes as it was there, but I really do think that played a major part into those guys because they'd been there the last 3 or 4 weeks. So was definitely very pleased with the fact that our guys just played hard. There were a lot of mistakes that were made on those last 3 plays between me and you, but they played so hard they played through them. So we definitely were very pleased with the results and how they finished.
Now, you mentioned something earlier. We talk about the missed field goal. You said, looking back on film, that someone might have gotten a hand on it?
Yeah, we think Atia, he was coming off the field saying he did it, so the referee didn't give you any credit for it, so it won't be in the stat line. But he said he got a piece of it as he pushed through. When you look on film, he is pushing the pocket pretty good, so he's telling everyone that he got a piece of it. But with Atia, you got to take it with a grain of salt. Yeah.
Well, at the very least, though, I mean, he could have put a little bit of pressure on their kicker, right?
Well, I think it definitely, the color being flashed in front of him probably caused him to push it a little bit as well.
Now, his kick was wide left. On the broadcast, from our vantage point, it looked like it was good, which I gave everybody a heart attack because I said it was good. Never do that again. Maybe made it more exciting. But on the sideline, though, from your vantage point, did you know it was no good right away? I mean, did the sideline know?
Well, I think it was kind of in between. I think we all were, envisioning it not being good. So when the referee gave us the signal and confirmed that, you saw the eruption and the excitement. So.
It was amazing watching back to it. As the ball went up, there was just silence. Even after it went through, even though it didn't, it went wide left, there was just silence until you saw the officials go like that. And it was really an incredible atmosphere after that, wasn't it?
Oh, it really was. It really was.
Let's talk about a couple of guys' individual performances, Coach. Specifically on defense, Nick Boynton, what a game that he had at the linebacker spot, had a sack, and also Theron Eisen starting as a freshman and racking up a number of tackles.
I mean, both those guys very excited about what they're doing right now. I think Theron has a bright future ahead of him. He's a heck of a football player, great kid, great family, comes from a great program in upstate New York, which ironically his high school coach was my college recruiter and was our defensive coordinator.
That's right, I did mention that.
So he's from the same high school as Donato Clemente. So it's a case where we knew what we were getting. So when I got the phone call, again, you don't question your old coach. He tells you take a kid, you take him, and he's been everything that my former coach told me he would be. I've been very proud of Nick. I mean, he went through some struggles a year ago, playing behind some pretty good guys, not getting a lot of playing time the last couple of years, but he did get some spot duty, and he's making the most of his opportunity as a junior and being a starter, and really did a great job all day of getting us lined up, making the calls, making the adjustments, playing hard. He got cut a couple times on his blitzes, but one of them he got up and sacked the quarterback. So I think his effort's been right where we needed to be, and he's been a great leader for us.
Another guy offensively, the wide receiving spot. I mean, everybody wants to talk about Ardell and everybody wants to talk about Jarvis, and last year it was FJ, but Eric Brown had a really good game against Slippery Rock, didn't he?
He did, and we've talked a lot to him because Eric, was the backup, last year, and obviously with FJ, kind of still in the spotlight. Did some good things, a year ago, but we certainly felt when FJ left, that we didn't feel we'd fall off that much. We felt like he's got the ability to have explosive plays and make some big plays
and
down
the size
field.
too, right?
Yeah, and definitely the size. So I had talked to him back in camp just about, look, it's an opportunity for you, and he's done a really good job of handling it because anytime the other guy that you're playing with is pretty electric in Ardell, it makes it kind of hard. So I was very happy for him because I think he needed that for his confidence and certainly the confidence of the quarterback.
I think it was such a nice gesture, Coach, and we talked about this on the post-game show with Jimmy. You guys giving the game ball to Ken Kopeski, your trainer, who is with you every second of every day. If there's one guy that knows more about the program than you, it's Ken Kopeski, right?
It is.
But yeah, his grandson died at birth, and you were hoping, you said, to give him the game ball at Westchester. Almost did.
Yeah.
Almost won it. And then you did last week. How good did that feel for you guys to give the game ball to him for all the hard work that he does? And I'm sure the players rallied around that.
It really was kind of a great feeling for all of us. I know we were disappointed a week ago with the loss, and I think there was also a lot of disappointment in that we weren't able to get him the game ball to kind of put a smile on his face for what him and his family were going through. Mm-hmm. So certainly on Saturday being able to do that meant the world to myself, our coaches, and our players, and I know it meant a lot to Ken.
A huge win like that, and I asked Christian Strong the same question. You'll be seeing that interview coming up. Huge win like that, Coach, as you know, it's kind of easy to relax. I mean, after such an emotional win in a physical game like that, it's easy to maybe lose focus. Was that something that you guys really stressed to the team in practice this week, that you still have a long season to go, you want to continue this momentum, beat Cal today? And how did the week of practice go? Did you feel like the focus was still there?
Yeah, I think the focus was there. I think there's a lot more confidence. The biggest thing that we've been, telling our guys, even, after, the Shippensburg game is that it's a long season. There's a lot of football to be played. There's plenty of time to celebrate and reminisce when the season's over. So I said, come talk to me around Christmas and we can have discussions about, our focus, quickly shift to finding a way to get a win today against a very good football team.
Did you feel like there was a letdown at all in practice this week? Do you feel
the guys were there. We were a little banged up, so you had to kind of change some of the things you were doing. But we still got our live periods in. We still did our goal line. We just did it with some of our younger players that may have to play this week. But ultimately, I felt it was a solid week of practice. As a head football coach, it's never going to be great or at the standards you want. But I thought they came out. We had to adjust with some of the storms that came in. So one day we had to practice in the morning. I thought it was a lively practice, considering that we normally practice at 4 o'clock and to go at 7 in the morning. Just really kind of opened my eyes that hopefully we're growing up. We still have some depth issues, but I think the guys we have are going to be ready to play hard today.
Well, let's talk about California, Coach. Traditionally, they're going to be one of the toughest teams on your schedule for sure. You played them tough, though, really the last 2 years. Experienced offense, another test defensively when you look at their offense and their skills, skill guys. They also have 3 returners on the offensive line. Going to be a tough test for the defense, isn't it?
It really is. I mean, they, when you put the film on, they're every bit as proficient at what they do than any team that we played. They, they got a big offensive line. They got a big running back that can pound at you. They got 3 skill guys that can light up the scoreboard in a moment's notice. So our defense will have their hands full. I think they're excited coming off of the Slippery Rock game with some of the stops they were able to get, and I think they're hoping to be a little bit more consistent because we're going to need that down the stretch if we're going to have a chance to be competitive.
Coach, finally, your keys to victory against Cal U.
Well, I think for us it's simple. We have to find a way offensively to take care of the ball. I think we feel like we have some playmakers on our offense. We got to do a good job of getting them the ball and spreading the ball around like we've been doing. We got to protect up front. One of the things that's going to be tough for them is with Cal's defense, they got so much speed at the second level. They're long and fast on the edges, and they're big and thick inside. So it's a deadly combination. They do a great job against the run. They play a lot of man-to-man, so the windows are going to be a lot smaller. They got some guys that are ball hawks. So offensively, we got to find a way to get some running seams. I say it every week, and I'll say it again. We got to find a way to steal some yards running the football, to take some pressure off of Christian. And then when we have the opportunity for big plays, we got to connect like we did a week ago. Defensively, I kind of touched on it a little bit. They got tremendous skill on the perimeter, and they got a back that has rushed for over 100 yards in all the games this year. So we got to find a way to slow that down, keep that at bay. We got to not give up the explosive play on the back end, keep the receivers in front of us, and then we got to get pressure on the quarterback. I think a year ago, one of the things that kept us in the game was we were able to get to him early and knock him around a little bit. And I think we got to find a way to do that today.
And special teams, Coach. I mean, it's what do they say, a third of the game, and it really showed last week. Slippery Rock didn't execute on special teams. You guys did. You had a blocked punt. You had a blocked field goal. You made 2 field goals. And, again, I mean, you can look at that and say that was one of the differences in the game. Something that maybe was lacking in your first 2 years, but I give credit to the coaching staff. I mean, you guys really shored that up, and the special teams has been a strength for you, not only in those areas, but also the return game as well.
Oh, it's been night and day. And I've talked to Coach Williamson, our special teams coordinator, on a number of occasions just about watching our film after games and saying how much we've improved and how much the guys are playing harder. I think they're buying in. I think he did a great job this summer tweaking some things and figuring out what we can do and allow our guys to play fast. And the other side is we got a little bit more depth in our skill position. So what happens is you're seeing Larry Joshua run down and cover kicks. You're seeing Pat Smith run down. You're seeing Pat Jackson. So we're getting a bunch of guys that typically had smaller roles on the team involved, and it's really helped along with our defensive guys that are doing a great job. So we got to keep that going. As when we started the year, we talked about special teams being the difference maker, and certainly on last Saturday, it was a big difference maker for us.
Coach, always enjoyed a little bit more after a win, right? Our talk before the game.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Coach,
Let's keep it going.
Exactly. Thanks a lot for your time. As always, good luck against Cal.
Thanks.
Coach Isaac Collins Show brought to you by Dino's Sports Lounge in Greensburg and Latrobe. Coming up, our Griffin Player Spotlight with Christian Strong, quarterback here for Seton Hill University, when we continue on Griffin's Game Day on the Westmoreland Sports Network.